Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our Lord, our Savior, our power, whose name is Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the Heavenly Father's name, all right? That is the name of the Most High, all right? And that is in the Hebrew language, but that is the name of the Most High. There is no English way or any other way you say his name is Yahweh. I'm just letting you edifying that that is the Hebrew, okay? Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. Those are our teachers who taught us the truth. I'm Yalak Maraf from the Shepherd of Berea camp. Big ups to the camp heads and the elders and fellow brothers of the Shepherd of Berea camp. All right, I just wanted to do this quick lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. Peter Stuyvesant. Peter Stuyvesant. All right, now, anybody in New York who grew up in New York know that Stuyvesant High School, that was the high school where you kind of was like, oh man, you people who go to Stuyvesant, man, that's a smart school to go. That was the high school to go to, pretty much of, I guess, so to speak. You're very, you're highly educated. You're gonna be more successful in life. All of the bullshit, you know what I mean. Um, of course, we know that, these schools, do more, educate more, and do more, what I'm saying? Each source strategically does these things. All right, there's a school name out of this man, Peter Stuyvesant. Who is Peter Stuyvesant? I'll put, as you're looking at Chat GPT for sure, breaking down all the information. All right, while water is being depleted. But check this information out, man. Some of this stuff, I did not know this, all right? Some things I knew. I did not know the core of this stuff. I did not know Peter Stuyvesant and his involvement, all right, and what you're going to see inside of the slave trade. Now, check this out. Peter Stuyvesant is a huge figure in the early American colonial New York history, okay? So dealing with New York, all right? He was the last Dutch director general of the colony of New Netherland before it became New York, okay? So it was called New Netherland before it became New York. All right, he was born in 1610 in the Netherlands, all right? Became director general of New Netherland in 1647. He ruled strictly authoritarian type leadership. Dutch colony during his rule included what is now New York, New Jersey, Delaware, parts of the Hudson Valley. He built major infrastructures in New Amsterdam, modern downtown Manhattan. All right, Wall Street is literally named after the defensive wall he ordered built. Okay, defending against who? I didn't even ask that in chat. With the so-called Native Americans, right? Who land, which was that there was, and then wasn't America, it was Asareth, all right, the land of Asareth, all right. He resisted the English takeover in 1664, but the colony surrendered, became New York. He retired to a farm, Boweridge Estate. This is the origin of the Bowery area in New York City today. So that was a farm, that Bowery area off the J line in the Lower East Side where the motherfucking crackheads roam, where the K2 zombies roam. All right, that Bowery area, okay? It says, so a lot of New York City names come from him directly, all right? A lot of precepts that come to mind. Psalms 49 and 11, all right? They think the name, the things after these areas was named after these rulers. And then you got people saying, on the highways, what about these people? What about that national land people? Brother, New York City is the it city, right? And this is going to give you the core history of it. Ain't no other city that's well known in any other place you're going to talk about than New York City. And we're going to give you the foundation of how it was built. All right. And this is a so-called white person. Oh, man, this is a so-called white person. All right. An Edomite. OK. And this is how he became successful. See, we look at the success, the stock market, and oh, man, how the wealth detaching from the origin of how it even came. How did it come about? Let's go into it. All right. So I'm not going to go too much into his background, right? I just want to know, how did he partake in slavery? See, You gotta trigger, chat. Chat ain't gonna lay it all out. If you're gonna do a report on him, you just say, "Oh, okay, he did this. He ruled. Oh, wow. Okay, all right." No, ask about how did he partake in slavery, and chat put chat blew his ass up. Oh shit! Oh, you want to know the darkest? Okay, I'm gonna let you know. Peter Stuyvesant is actually directly connected to slavery in early New York. See, see, New York City. All right, the World Trade Center. Okay, is directly connected to slavery. So it gets to thinking about what was the early trades, right? Now you had the fur trade and you had human trafficking, slaves. All right, us going on stock market. Now it's gonna go into it. I'm not making this up. All right, this is from ChatGPT. He wasn't. This is history at the end of the day, you know. And it's good to know this stuff because we're kind of like relaxed because you looking at the money, how they moving. Yo, man, I don't understand the market. These niggas. Anyway, he wasn't just a passive governor in a period where slavery happened. He actively expanded it. He actively expanded it. So in the 1600s, this man actively expanded slavery in what is known in New York, which is known as today. We know that area is known as the financial district. All right. So the origin of the financial district, where the most money is pumped out, Manhattan, all this is so expensive, Trump, all of this is where people go. All right. Look at the core, because the core or the foundation always matters. It always matters, man. All right. It says he actively expanded it. How he partook in slavery? Well, let's go. He personally owned enslaved Africans. So number one, this guy right here personally owned slaves. So before we get to anybody, oh yeah, oh what about this person owns slaves? Oh, that person owns slaves. This person owns slaves. That person owns slaves. Nigga, I was born. I'm from New York, motherfucker. I'm going to talk about the motherfuckers who had me. I ain't finna to talk about who else and blah 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 and this, that, and the third. We gonna finna to talk about our relations to what happened to us. Why are we going to talk about a mother? Oh yeah, but oh yeah, there was bro. I'm talking about this right here, right now, which we was affected by. How you going to speak on something else that you know what I'm saying? It don't make sense. And these people come up with all of these terms. Who are Idi Amin? What about Idi Amin, bro? Shut up, first of all. But come on, like come on, bro. Were you affected by Idi Amin? Who were you affected by? Why do you speak the language you speak? Like, and it's just Jake, man. Anyway, it's Esau in them, really. I'm not even arguing with them. It's Esau in them. It's a spell. It's a spirit. I mean, it's a lot of witchcraft. So we look taking the physical aspect of what they done. You got to think about the spiritual witchcraft, the blood mixing, the movies, they leaving a spirit behind, that energy, that source. Yeah, they did that. They tapped in. This is deeper than just a surface level thing. All right. That's why it says, through witchcraft, let me get the, you know what? Oh, okay. He was tripping on me just now. Because I said that, let me go ahead and get Nahum, the 3rd chapter, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city. See, y'all want to get around, oh, these people shed blood. No. Who is the bloody city? Known. Numero uno. We dealing with the top. Okay. Yeah, you got people who did this and do that. We're talking about numero uno. All right. Gangs of New York was a big movie that showed you about the 5 points in the earth. Like certain movies was out, I didn't really even catch on to, but now paying attention, it all makes sense. Woe to the bloody city is all full of lies and robbery. See, oh yeah, oh yeah, it was bro, the World Trade. They covered this stuff up. They prey depart not. He never departed from it. He kept feasting. So the same one who benefited off of slaves, you know who the slaves were. They're still here. We're still here. Hello, we right here. The prey depart not. Okay? They still preying on the same people. Why would they leave something that works so great for them? The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels. So you're going to see that we built the walls. We built the whole district. It's going to go into it. I'm not making this up. We're going to go on ChatGPT. The noise of the whip. All right. Get to work, nigga. You know, the rattling of the wheels, because that was the horse carrying the bricks. You got cobblestones. Who the fuck you think put the cobblestones down? Oh yeah, we want to leave these cobble, because Esau he keeps the cobblestones. Oh yeah, wow man, this is authentic New York. No, it's to remind them, bro. And of the jumping chariots, verse 3, the horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and glittering spear. There is a multitude slain and a great number of carcasses. There is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Verse 4, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. So when I'm not lying about it, the Bible says that they did it through the whoredoms, trading with the other nations, right? And also through witchcraft. So one part of it is that's why people be saying what they saying. A lot of them are bewitched through witchcraft. So that's a number one key component that's here inside of this society is witchcraft. You don't see it on the forefront. It's covered up. It doesn't look like witchcraft, because it's deception, right? Anyway, it says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face and see the truth and things is coming out. And I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame. This is how you got rich. This is how this city is so great. This is how the finances came into play. You still got the same people here. This is why these people were burnt out. This is why they're tired. You're putting spells on them. You're using them as witchcraft. You're working down to the bone, right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to bring that part out, a lot of other precepts to go into, but for now, I'll just stop right there. All right. Where is my man's? Oh boy, I gotta throw all this stuff out there. It's crap, man. There we go. Okay. All right. What was I saying again? Okay, I'll read it on. It says he imported and increased. All right, so the Bowery, right? It says he imported and increased slave labor he himself owned slaves and used them for later labor, including on the Barragee farm, later the Bowery. So you got individuals, right? So you got so the Bowery right off the J line, y'all. Why do you think Jake look fucked up? Oh, it's a spirit over there. This dude, go to the Bowery on the J line. Y'all get ahead. Go to the Bowery on the J line. Get off at that station and be out there around, when it gets a little late. See how many zombies you see over there. Spells and witchcraft all over them. I'm not lying. That's a known area for the K2 zombies. That's what it was. Asian hate. They had spirit. Anyway, verse 2. He imported and increased slave labor in New Netherlands, right? Under his administration, he encouraged and approved more slave shipments. Oh, where are the ships? Where is this? Where is that? Bro, it literally didn't have slave ship on the side of it. The ship was going to be changed to something else. It's a ship. It's carrying people, but anyway. It said, just like the damn stock market is going to go into Wall Street, the trading blocks was us. Now they switched it up right over. It's the same zone. It did it right before your eyes, and then I gotta learn the stock market. Do you really want to? Because you probably would spaz out. You probably would. It will owe you everything on there. Anyway, you was on it. You was being traded on it. That's the point. You see, it says the Dutch West India Company brought enslaved Africans. See, so it was called the Dutch West India Company. This is business. All right. That's why the scriptures say, it brought them into a land of traffic. Let me get that in Ezekiel 17. All right. Ezekiel 17 and 4. He cropped off the top of his young twigs and carried it into a land of traffic, business. All right. He set it in a city of merchants. What's the city of merchants? The whips. All right. The selleth the whoredoms. Where is the buying and selling taking place? In America. That's the high commodity. That's why it's called the World Trade System. All right. I mean, World Trade Center. Okay. You can all see that very clear. The city of merchants. See the scripture. Ezekiel speak upon it. Nahum speak upon it. John the Revelator speak upon it. They all talking about the same thing. All right. It says he took yeah into it and he set it in the city of merchants. So that where traffic goes back to business. All right. And that's why, you say, oh, the apostles even went into that. Oh, there's a lot of traffic. Really is a lot of business. The cars you have, what you conduct in a business. You need a license to what? To conduct business. But there's a lot of buying and selling. People, when you go up and down Broadway, one of the first strips that was known, that was built, was off the Wall Street, was Broadway. Okay. It says, yeah, I'm gonna jump back. Well, I should start at verse 3. And say, thus saith the Lord, a great eagle. Esau is known as the eagle with great wings, long wing full of feathers, and which diverse colors came unto Lebanon and took the highest branch of the cedar. And yep, he brought us into the land of traffic. It's a city of merchants. That's the slave trade. All right. All right. Go back to chat. Chat. Only ones you love is, what is this? All right. It says, all right, let's go to part number 3, because it says a company. So that's going back to business. The Dutch West India Company brought enslaved Africans. All right, we're Israelites, so we not no Africans or whatever they saying. We know. Okay, it says into New Amsterdam heavily between 1647 and 1664. So that was a heavy period. All right, that where it was coming into the north. See, we always talk about the south, the south, the south, but it never is really tapped in about on the north. See, the north is it's more subtile. That's where Doctor Strange is from. The fucking witch, who does all the magic. Yeah, this is where he's from. See, New York is more it's subtile. You don't say, oh no, it's interesting. It's just showing you that it was slavery going on. While he was in power, verse 3, he used enslaved labor to build New York City. That's it. We could just drop the mic right there. So you looking at New York City, oh man, wow, this is great. Oh wow. And they look down on Jake. Oh man, these people saw, man, you gotta get them out of here, man. Oh yeah, this area needs to be cleaned up. Nigga, they the one who built it up. They were used to build the roads. So the roads you see, the buildings you see, fortifications, and yes, the wall on Wall Street. Check that out. Check that out, bro. Stuyvesant directed much of the labor infrastructure that used enslaved bodies. All right. Part 4, it says he enforced racial restriction laws. He supported and implemented laws that restricted black people's movement, labor, rights, marriages, and property. Even the freedom system the Dutch used still forced enslaved black people to pay a tax and do labor for the government. So, people, oh yeah, I'm gonna be free when I go up north. No, come on, this is still what's happening. This is the real reality of these things, man. All right. Oh boy, now they're going to throw Amalek. Yeah, we're gonna skip that one, man. But you got Jake, like the apostles always say, that was in that land. So you know what I mean? Oh, whatever, I'll read it. It says he blocked Jewish merchants partly because of slavery. Stuyvesant also tried to block Jewish refugees from settling. One of his reasons documented was because he felt they would disrupt the company's slave trade economics. And the Amalekites, Edomites that was in it, they partook and benefit off of them. So because you got to go into when they became that, the Balfour Declaration, and so you got to tread very lightly with that information. Very, very lightly, because they're the same people. But you do have, like we always say, Jakes, Israelites that are, amongst them. So it could be Jake that was, that was still being affected, if you get what I'm saying, right? It says Peter Stuyvesant wasn't neutral. Okay, he wasn't neutral. He profited from, expanded, enforced, and normalized slavery in what became New York City. All right, New York City. All right, you got to think about the early ages of the New York City. All right, the prostitute. New York City was hell, Meryl. Slavery going on. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. He helped institutionalize slavery from the very beginning, foundation of the city. So the very foundation of this city was founded upon what? Slavery. All right. If you want next, I could break down which part of Manhattan Africans physically built under his government, how slavery, economics, and New Netherlands became the foundation of New York finance. So I told him both. All right. And I'm going to just read this and I'll end it off with one more precept. It says, what parts of Manhattan enslaved Africans physically built under Stuyvesant rule? Under Peter Stuyvesant's administration, enslaved Africans built major core early New York infrastructure. Check this out. It says structure area. What enslaved Africans did? Wall Street. It says built the defensive wall from the Hudson to the East River. So you built a long wall, first of all, right, to the Hudson to the East River. This is literally where the name Wall Street comes from. All right. So that's evidence and facts, right? Fort Amsterdam. All right, Fort Amsterdam. So check that out. Hole in masonry, carpentry, and defensive reinforcement. So Fort Amsterdam, okay, that was built by Jake. Ditches, canals. We got something called what? Canal Street. All right, roads, because Canal Street. That is Jake did that. Broadway, which is near canals. You got canal that run into Broadway. Pearl area constructed and graded early street road systems. Early harbor plus docks. Heavy labor loading, unloading timberwood. All right, the Bowery Farm expansion zones. They cleared forests. Yeah, because you got to think about it, and we even was talking about that in the harbor. This was a beautiful land. So they put us to work cutting down trees. Man, and I'm going to attest to that. There ain't no chainsaws. So I cut down some trees right out here in Georgia. The brother Priest Barzal. That's some manual. You get blizzard. Your hands is going to rip off. Your skin's going to rip off because you're swinging the axe with that grip. And you got to precisionally hit it on certain angles to get deep into that tree. Now, anybody know New York? New York ain't got Georgia, they got them big, tall Tommy Hearn trees. These some motherfucking stocky, you know what I mean? heavyweight trees right here, bro. They stocky. So, in New York, like they thick stock. So that's a lot of cutting, bang, bang, bang. So nonstop. Wood and water. Hewers of wood and drawers of water. That's slavery. It goes to that with the book of Joshua. I'll make you hewers of wood and drawers of water. Those are slaves. Okay, so that's a known connection. If you could, okay, here, you give them an axe. Hewers of wood, you're a slave. You're going to clear out this forest, and it says maintain his agricultural estate. Plowing the land, maintaining it. What agriculture was he growing? You know what I mean? The South, they was growing cotton, but whatever he was doing up here in the North, it was the same thing. Early public buildings, churches, all right? Churches around. You got them churches in Bowery. See, a lot of this stuff we walk past, we don't realize it, but slaves built that. You can just literally, if chat could scan and take a picture. This building was built by during this era underneath the rulership of, it will probably give you that whole breakdown. Barracks, powder house, mills. It says, so physically Manhattan's financial root core, Wall Street, literally wall, is soaked in slavery labor before British takeover. New York City was built on slavery before plantation South even became dominant. Check that out. It always is at the South. See, the Union is coming to help you with the South. No, they were on the same timing. These people was on the same timing. This is why New York slavery is usually erased, but it was foundational. Yeah, chat. Bring it on. Come on, brother. I'm about to give you a garment. It says, How slavery economics under New Netherlands became foundation for New York finance plus commerce. Dutch New York under Stuyvesant. Check this out. British New York labor. Slavery used as under Stuyvesant was used as normal capital. Now, later New York, slavery turns into a hard financial market. There you go. The stock market, a hard financial market. All right. In which you get these, the Wall Street, oh man, what do you call those guys? Oh man, I forgot what you call those guys, but you know, damn, what are they called again? Fuck. Stockbrokers and all of this and then stuff like that, right? It says enslaved Africans infrastructure workforce, right? Enslaved Africans during Stuyvesant, we went into the infrastructure workforce, right? Now, New York later, at British New York later, after, Stuyvesant, enslaved Africans became commodity asset class. See, under Stuyvesant, the Dutch West India Company controlled the trade. So that was the name of their company, Dutch West India. So it was all underneath from the LLC, a C corp. So when we think about this, setting up C corps, because when you go into it as well, I think early in, oh man, it shows you that the reason why it's under companies is because if there was damage to the property, because we would be known as property, they would get a what you call that? Insurance. Insurances was brought. And and when you really think about the stocks, because I learning it, you buying the contracts. So who is contract? What was the contracts? Let's really think about this shit, man. Contracts with the insurance, yeah, It says slavery. It says, okay, so later New York merchants plus private banks control slave finance. Fucking private banks. And you know what? I want to say what private banks control slave finance. I'm going to ask that question after I read this. Because these banks are still around, bro. You're not going to say they're not. Then that's a chat. They allowed to dispose it. But private banks control slavery. So that means there was banks. Oh no, this is a good bank. Yeah, I work for this bank. Well, we know Citibank took part of it, right? That was clear evidence. So yeah, all of the banks, because banks backed it. So when we really think about this, man, what are you even tripping on? All of this is bad, man. This is really bad. Slavery tied to shipping plus docks. It says New York becomes number 2 slave port in all North America. They were number 2. It's like not the 1, not the 2, baby. See, you don't really hear much about it. You know what I mean? It goes under the radar. We escape to the north. No, niggas was getting dropped off there, bro. Real talk. See, you was like, oh man, you gotta run from this. No, we were getting directly dropped off there too. Okay, and that's later British New York, right? So it says, under Stuyvesant, property, human bodies equal an economic base. All right, Wall Street literally now under the British later is sells. Oh, that's it. Sell slave insurance contracts plus auctions. Now that's the whole basis of the stock market, bro. Insurance contracts. That's what it is. Oh man, you buy the insurance contract, and if it fades away, that's the option trade. That's literally what it is. I can't break it down completely to you, but this is the basis of this shit, bro. I'm telling you, this is what it is. And they still in the whole scenery of it. We just can't even see. You don't even know if you even still on the market. You be in a bet. Esau so slick. You don't even. Oh yeah, we trading on stocks and Tesla. What if it's you? Not in the essence of you being sent off, but I'm just saying. What you gonna tell me that? Nah, bro. Nah. There's things that's still being in play. It's just under new names. I don't got the whole proof and aspect of it, but if this was being done to actual people back then it's being done now. It's just under a different type of concept, And if it hit me to even think about something, then I'll say it. But for the most part, now they cover up with companies and cars and things in the nature, healthcare and house loans and, you know what I'm saying? But it's, Yeah, it's all on the market. Everything's on the market. So, um, your Nikes, your sneakers, you know. I mean, fuck it, you bidding in, on the new stuff on players and stuff. Man, you know what? The framework. Stuyvesant Court created the framework. This is the framework, y'all. It's not the framework still. It is major. It's known as the stock market. This is the framework to the stock market, guys. This is it. Normalized corporate slavery import. Corporate, a C corp. He had a C corp, bro. Now it makes more sense, which I'm gonna bring out in Ezekiel 28, and I don't want to forget to ask about them private banks, right? And if I do, man, just put that in there. Put this same information and ask about them private banks. I'm gonna do. I just don't. I just know that chat. It throw me off the. Okay, normalized corporate. Okay, integrated enslaved labor into city bill plus converse made slave labor economically indispensable to the colony. Okay, when England takes over in 1664, they inherit a ready-made slave-based economy. So they just took over. Oh, thanks, right? You know what I mean? They didn't end it. They just took over it, and their next person took over it, and there you go. Now I know how we want to market. Because when you go into the word, see, hey, shout out to Priest Rob Chapai, he always bring that out. When you go into the word employment or human resources, it deals with that word actually goes into slaves. All right. So if you're working for a company in that market and you betting that market go up due to the workers, the slaves, right? You're essentially saying that my slaves are going to sell and do such and such. They're just being paid $1 now, but they just changed the framework of the words. So yeah, it's yeah. All right. It says that momentum financial structure is why New York banking. See, check this out. That momentum plus financial structure is why New York banking, insurance, maritime capital exploded later. See that? That's how New York City became so great. Okay. New York slavery wasn't a Southern import. It was born Dutch, institutionalized British, and monetized Wall Street. See, born Dutch, institutionalized British, and then monetized Wall Street. Check that out. All right. What modern NYC areas today sit directly on slavery infrastructure? Wow, that's good to know. Top sources, places, letters, members, hottest ties into New York, refusing emancipation. See, they refuse emancipation. Yo, they acting like their North was with it. They was with the whole. They was getting. Look at the private thing, and I do want to know now how it directly, what modern areas sit directly on slave infrastructure. Cause we could be going to buildings. Oh, I'm going over here. What? Well, we know the Wall Street does, right? Because of Wall Street, right? The stock market. I'm saying. Anyway, yeah. Why you ain't ask this one, chat? Why you ain't do this one, bro? You know I need to know this. I'll ask a double question. And what areas sit directly on slavery infrastructure? Yeah, man. Give us the spill, man. Okay, this is a very important connection most schools never teach. yo, bro, this dude is crazy. Cause he saw you a dumbass, man. You didn't put all this information, but that's the Most High. It's not even you. It says, we read it. It shall discover thy skirts. Okay, New York merchants plus private banks that control slave finance, 1700s and early. Wow, the Roosevelt family. Yes, that Roosevelt line. Teddy Roosevelt, Van Cortlandt. That's in the Bronx. Delancey Street. Wow, Beekman. Yo, the Trinity Church. Yo, this was the Trinity demon on these niggas, bro. Livingston family, Livingston Street. I worked at 180. Yo, bro, that's crazy. This is crazy, bro. This is big stuff, bro. All right. these were the families involved, bro. This is major families. Livingston, that's a whole strip downtown Brooklyn. Van Cortlandt, that's the Bronx. All right, Van Cortlandt Park. All right, that's on the one train if I'm not mistaken. I used to run out there. Used to have to do races at Van Cortlandt Park. I remember. All right, they probably was betting. Probably was a runner back then. Niggas making you run, nigga. You know, the Delancey Street, right? Trinity Church. See, a church. Vestry elite investors. So they let you know the churches, man. Man. The Trinity Church Vestry elite investors. That's crazy. So not only they smack you with a Trinity doctrine, they also are investors. Brown brother Harriman persecuted merchant houses. The BBH. Later merges into what becomes as the BBH connected to modern Bacon era. That's still around. How is this still around? Anyway, Bank of New York. Bank of New York. Probably Bank of America. Founded by Alexander Hamilton. Tontine Coffee House. Look at that. Oh, wow. Not a bank, but it is the place where slave auctions plus securities trading. That's what I was talking about. Happened. This morphs into the New York Stock Exchange meeting place. Motherfuckers, boy. Securities trading. That's option trade. You trading securities, bro. This is the same thing, bro. This is real. That's crazy. Maritime Insurance Companies of New York. They wrote slave ship risk insurance. Yo, they were writing policies. This is extremely important because slave bodies were financial instruments. This nigga said this was important. Yo, you wicked, bro. Later, major houses that formed into this era evolved and became part of infrastructure that eventually combined into J.P. Morgan era Bacon later. So J.P. Morgan was the offspring of this. New York Core's financial DNA was tied to slavery, commerce, insurance, not only cotton. So the slavery insurance was what New York was, y'all. So all the slave insurance and everything, that was that's where you get the securities trading. Oh, you gotta get insurance. They were going to New York for that. That's what the insurance was. That's what it was. It makes sense now. It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. It all makes sense. It completely makes sense, bro. They were all in cahoots. Wall Street, okay, the site, okay, so modern location, Wall Street, Broadway, south of Chambers Street, check that out, roadway clear to see, the Battery Park, wow, my pops first put me on the Battery Park, it used to be the last stop on it when he worked for the Battery, bro, I used to walk around the Battery, slave labor, naval work, coastal defense, South Street Seaport, we forget about that, oh man, the view, South Street Seaport, it's so demonic, bro. The Bowery, all right, we know this motherfucker had a farm on there. Then the Trinity Church, financed by elite families with large slave asset wealth. This got to be the Rothschilds, bro. Enslaved people buried in church grounds. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy, bro. African burial ground. Get the fuck out of here, bro. African burial ground. Near Folly Square, 290 Broadway. 290 Broadway. African Folly Square. Yeah. That's not, I know Folly Square I can hear it. 290 Broadway. I think that's a small little park area. You see? Thousands of free and enslaved Africans buried here. Check that out. Covered up by that's why the Mitchell's going here. It's so much blood. That's why it says, woe to the bloody city that we read. Woe to the bloody city. You see that? I got more questions, but I could be here all day. And I definitely, these families, y'all, these are some cursed families. This Roosevelt family, yes, that Roosevelt line. You know why he said that? Because you like, yeah, the one you thinking, Teddy Roosevelt, all that, yeah, they were involved. But oh yeah, look at Teddy Roosevelt. Look at the history of America. See, she likes the history of America. This shit is dark, son. None of these dudes was clean, bro. These was wicked, and they not even gonna bring all this out. You gotta ask Chat about this now. Chat is like, what he said. When Chat started off, he said, oh yeah, this is something they'll never teach you. Anyway, yeah, bro, that's a lot, man. It just keeps going and going and going. So yeah, you've been revealed. Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. So what's being exposed, man? Your own tongue is fallen upon you, as it says in Psalm 64. With thy wisdom, verse 4, and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches. Okay, what was his understanding and his wisdom, man? He was oppressing, to rule by oppression, to rule by the sword, and has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. Verse 5, by great wisdom and by thy traffic, human trafficking, right? Has thy increased by thy riches. Who is this talking about? Y'all go ahead and guess. This is not talking about Idi Amin, Idi Amin, idiot. And thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Idi Amin heart is not. You guys is something simple, bro. See, the Bible is targeting one top tier individual, nation. This is not just talking about anybody who did anything wicked. This is targeting the wicked. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of God. Who set his heart as the Most High? It says, behold, therefore I will bring. So the Lord's going to judge the society. The overall is going to get a judgment, right? Behold, therefore I will bring the strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, aka Russia. All right, this is why they're sending troops. This is what's going on. They shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. All right, the missiles. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the depths of them that are slain in the midst of the sea. So at the overall end, there's a judgment coming down for all of the evil, the witchcraft, and the continuous, bewitching of the people to this day. And this is just what would you consider this? A grain of mustard seed of his wickedness? That's just Stuyvesant. And the little bit that he did with it, and that's just part of New York. We could go probably state by state, person by person. Because now I'm saying Teddy Roosevelt, we could get into the Roosevelt family, the Livingston family. I mean, it just gets so deeper because when you think about this is on financial side. What about the medical system? How did they learn the autonomy of a human? Who were they practicing on to see where the heart was, to see where this was, to see where that was? Or if I remove this, how did that work? There's something called the medical apartheid. It was practicing on so-called blacks, African Americans. This is what they were doing. They have a book called Medical Apartheid, and they show you how they practice on. You got the Tuskegee experiment. It's not even new. It's just it is not something that is like, yo, they did this, and it's like, the fourth is you know what I mean. And then the same individuals in power. How creepy is it? So who knows if you're just being practiced on with different jabs and medicines and medication? You think, nah, come on. It's the same individuals. It's not like it changed. Oh, man, that was a long time ago. Okay. So what does that mean? Because it was a long time ago, it means what? It means what? It doesn't mean anything. It just means it evolved. J.P. Morgan Chase is founded off it. If it was that, it's a lot of things to even look at that aspect. But if J.P. Morgan is still around as a seed of it, the Roosevelts was presidents after it. Livingston Street is still literally around. The buildings is around. That means the family lines is around. The same money is around. The same rules is around. Have you ever met them? Have you even known if they're nice people? You never would. You never would. Did they recompense anything to say they're nice? Oh, yo, sorry, man. We got all this money based on our forefathers here. We want to give you guys a portion back what we did. And, we realize you built this, and we just want to give all 20% or 30%, 50% of our trades made on this market and the building of New York to the families that are here of so-called African American descent and the Native Americans, that we built this big ass wall to block you guys, and how we took you guys' fur. Because you got to think about it, the fur, that's another aspect. See, now I'm just dealing with the Southern Kingdom side. Let's think about the fur trade. So you think about the fur trade, they were coming over here fighting, killing the Native Americans and killing all the animals because the fur trade was a big deal. Yeah, them expensive chinchilla, they never seen that before. So they were coming over here to beer, oh, the luxury floors. Oh yeah, I want to throw the beer rug on there. Now, where you think Landon was running through to take that? So that was a big deal. That's something really big known as the fur trade. So they built that wall. So yeah, it was a lot going on, man. It was a lot going on in that time. Anyway, that's why yeah, yeah, man. It's history. Because I even as a kid, I remember going to Canarsie and seeing like the so-called Native American heads on Canarsie. And I never, it's just something you just see. But then you realize, wow, they this was their land. Where did they go? Where did they, you know what I mean? If they buried us and they saying, oh yeah, the church Trinity, yeah, they had 1,000 burials. The church Trinity, like, where were they getting this money from? And why were they invested in burials? Man, and if this is the mystery of witchcraft, and you can take people's bones and do witchcraft, come on, what do you really think they were doing? It's so much stuff that you could just spin around and think about. And it's there. It's literally there. You know what? We can ask chat. We can ask chat about a lot of things right now. Let's see. Was witchcraft done? Was witchcraft done? I mean, more movies need to be made about it. Now, this side of it, I don't know if it would tap into. Wow, that's crazy. The Dutch legally recognized witchcraft existed as a concept because they inherited that worldview from Europe, but they were extremely reluctant to execute over it. Dutch colonial New York was not Puritan like Salem. So under Stuyvesant period, accusations happened, court cases happened, but there wasn't mass execution waves like Salem. Oh, the witches of Salem. Well, that let you know it was because there's something called the witches of Salem, bro. New York did have witch trials. So it lets you know that. Anyway, bro, this, yeah, man. Yeah. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Anyway, I just gonna close out on that, man. That was a lot. That was a lot. That was a lot, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a lot. It just makes you it makes you want to pull up names and lines and where they today and just go far with this whole thing, man, because you living in it still, and then you being affected and you bugging out over everything, and you not realizing that, bro, these are the same positions of power from these eras and families that's in the lines. And how could you catch up? How could you even get out of where you are out of? It doesn't matter if you work $100,000 job or any job. It's still there's a position that you're in. The money is not going to take you out of the position or the spell or the infrastructure, or the curse. It doesn't do it. The only thing it does is further cover up and blind you from it that it happened because you're saying, I got a good job. Well, I'm taking care of my family. I got a good job. Look, this never even happened. I got Louis Vuitton and I got a Mercedes Benz in the house. So, what about Edie Amin? That fat motherfucker, bro, you're a fucking demon, cause you came up with that, and you try to humbly you didn't try to apologize. It had to force out of you to apologize. And then you walked away when we showed you these wicked ruling families when chat is literally bringing it out. So what are you even talking about? How you even what's wrong with you, bro? It's literally bringing it out. But the only way to this is to really sit down is to say that he got spiritual, bro. I mean, it's crazy because they try to make brothers look like they bugging out. We not bugging out, bro. We chat literally just rolled a whole information out on this dude. And we know that this is the biggest system. The New York Stock Exchange is the biggest thing. It is the biggest, bro. All the people come in, they're not going to tell me this whole infrastructure that affected the world with this system. Get out of here, bro. You're going to tell me that about some, Edie, come on, millions. Get out of here, bro. You're not going to sit here and paint that narrative. And nobody taking up for, you know what I mean? You taking up for it. You justifying the wicked over somebody else who did something as if two wrongs make up. Okay, well, he did it. Well, what about these people over here? Well, they wicked too. What are you even talking about, bro? You a grown man, you stupid, bro. You just in a way, bro. You really in a way. And I and you could tell he eats we know you. I know you. I know you. I seen you. I seen you around. I know you. I know you. I definitely do. You are a bougie spirited nigga, bro. You are. You corny. You corny. You think you're intellectual. You so corny. You are disgust. You look down on Jake. You know what I mean? You do. Oh man, all right, this nigga's right. Why is like this? You look down on Jake. You look up to Esau. You want to talk like him. You want to be, all spiffy. You know what I mean? You want to take on that spirit. We all dressing and wearing their clothes. Granted, we all going to talk the language. Shit. We in captivity. What the fuck? What are we going? You know what I mean? But you got the spirit of him. You know what I mean? You really tapped in, and it's not you. That's what you want. You feel like you're better. You feel like you better, and you really ain't doing the work. You ain't trying to feed. You ain't doing the work. You sitting on your little plush that you got, and you corny, bro. You so corny. You corny, man. You're really corny. Yeah, you corny, bro. You corny. And you gonna come in and ask and question, but what is wrong with you? Who gave you authority? But you see, you gotta let them speak. You gotta let them sound stupid. You gotta let them. But Jake really gotta get punched in the face by Esau. I'm not saying by us. Esau's gonna punch you in the face. Trump is gonna punch you in the face. Them soldiers and all, they're gonna punch you in the face. They are. Most sides gonna allow them to bust Jake ass, fire jobs, make you feel the wrath and the pain, and make you cry out because you justify too much. You ain't all of this information. Look at all of this information. But you gonna point the finger and say, "Oh, what about this?" That's because you got to get punched in the face directly because you feel like this doesn't affect you. That's what I'm saying. You acting like it ain't affecting you, so now you just got to get punched in the face, two piece. And then you go, oh, hold on, what's going on? Oh, I'm a taxpaying citizen. Another two piece, boom, boom. Hey, somebody get this on camera. See, that's the next step. After you say I'm a taxpaying citizen and what's going on, and man, and they hit you another two piece, you gonna want it to get on camera because you like, yo, man, this is wrong, And then the next thing is, oh man, this ain't right. This is racial. Yeah, that's gonna be the next. That's gonna be a third after the two piece, And see, the Most High got to remind Jake, and as much as it is offensive to see it, but it's like these dudes don't get it. So the Lord got to put it out there. As much as we even see and be like, damn, what the hell? But they literally be playing games. He walked off. He walked away, bro. He walked away as if brother said something so profound. And ChatGPT just pulled out a whole list that made the core of the New York Stock Exchange, which is a global spot where everybody traveled to, which is the number one financial district, which is in the scriptures just pulled out, which is where we carry into the land of traffic, which is points out the wicked, Babylon the Great, and you talking about something else. You gotta get punched in the face. That's what I'm saying. You just gotta get punched in the face. Because if you're able to look at something else, you just ain't been hit yet. And you have been hit. You just numb to the hits, but now you need a more direct shot right in the nose. Wow. So you can really feel it like, oh wow. Oh, what happened? Why did I? And wow. No, you've been getting hit, but you just ain't get hit in the nose, You've been getting hit in the arm, the jab. You've been getting hit with philosophies, but now you just need a direct punch in the nose. You know what I mean? A direct call, your name called out and all of that. But man, with that being let me see. African burial ground, deep dive, how it was intentionally buried for centuries. Look at that, bro. Chat going, see, we could just keep going. African burial grounds. See, they had our burial. We got burial ground. I've been in New York. I cannot tell you a burial ground, a site now that I know Foley Square, but they're not going to take. And it says how it was intentionally buried for years. So the burial grounds was buried. Timeline from Dutch, British to New York finance. Primary sources, letters, proven involvement. Look at that. Slave insurance mechanics. They're gonna give you the mechanics to how they did the slave insurance and the policies and all of the. Cause that's how the stock market was formed. It already said that. Witchcraft child of who? Of Catherine Harrison moved from CT to New York, but again, mass hysteria like Massachusetts. This is a mystery Babylon, witchcraft, bruh. It already said that. It already said it. Folly Square, the burial ground holds 15,000 Africans. You got, and now more died. More of us. This is the number that they came up with. This makes it one of the largest and oldest burial grounds in North America. Period. Wow. So what do you got to say about that? What do you got to say about that? This is in the core of the financial government district. So in that financial district, that's why you see why they got what where Ghostbusters is shot in that same type of zone over there, because there's spirits moving around over there, bro. NYC banned black people from being buried inside of church cemeteries, while white cemeteries refuse African burials. So the black population was forced to be buried there outside of the Palisade Wall of New Amsterdam, and taking organs. This goes deep, man. I want to ask: do they ever take organs? Was organs taken? Because you gotta prompt it. Yes, organs was taken. They take organs now. Look at that! Wow. We could go all day with this. Yes, organs, bodies from Africans in colonial New York was taken and used for medical dissection in some cases. So they didn't, I'm telling you, this was witchcraft being done. So not only they buried and they took the organs, they didn't just leave the organs, or they took it for medical dissection in some cases. So they worked you to the death, then worked you in the afterlife. The niggas had your organs, your heart, your brain, and all of that stuff, doing whatever they did. Medical schools, look at this, medical schools plus surgeons. And so you're looking at, oh, wow, look at the medical doctors. The medical schools plus surgeons in New York City use black bodies for anatomy study because black people had no legal protection. Families could not defend graves. The city did not treat African dead as sacred or protected property. You see that? That shit is right there, bro. That's right there. That's right. Who is the recompense for this? They got to catch a missile. There's no recompense. You can't pay. It's too much. You have to give over the whole America. It's too much you did. It's too much. That's crazy. That's crazy. Grave robbing was extremely common in New York. Black cemeteries were targeting more than whites. Doctors, right? Oh, good doctor. Let's go to my doctor. Plus, Anonymous literally took bodies from the African burial ground and used them for dissection lessons. So, man, look at this body right here. I'm going to split it right here. Boom. You know what they show you that in? They show you that in the movie, even though that was in the South, they show you that in the movie Django, right? Because Django, he had the head, and he said, do you know you got 3 dimples right here where you can, that makes you more submissive? And he was showing him the skull. He said, oh, this is old Ben. My old Ben, I don't know. He never slit my daddy's throat. I would have cut my daddy from neck. He was giving a story about, like how he was made submissive. And he went into the skull and he was showing him that. That lets you know that that's been, even though it was a movie, this chat brought it out. So yes, mutilation, check that out, plus organ removal happened historically. Yeah, man. I mean, y'all can't say that, man. There was more done. Now, that's from the medical. So you think it have it's so many different standpoints. I gotta close out on this, bro, because Esau will, this is a lot of information. This is a lot, bro. This is a lot. Today it is a national monument and memorial operated by National Park Services. But remember, for 200 plus years, the city sat on those bones and pretended they didn't exist. So they sat on the bones and pretended they didn't exist. The bones, woe to the bloody city. Fuck yeah. Fuck that nigga. That wicked dude who came up to the highways is wicked, bro. He's so wicked. He gonna point the finger after all of this. Look at this. They filed teeth. Ritual burial. It was going in your teeth. Yeah, because we're a dentist. Some skulls show post-burial saw marks. Look, the skull, that's the Django. They saw the back of her head. Spinal cord, rib cage cuts consistent with medical autopsy tools. Long bones had evidence of removal from burial. This is considered one of the most painful evidences because it proves not only were these people enslaved in life, they were still exploited in death. So even Chat get to know that. They were even still exploited in death. It was no rest, man. It was no rest, man. That's why, man. Yeah, man. That's crazy. And he got the nerve to say something. He said, "Yo, get out of here, bro. You say, I hope you turning right now. I hope you turning right now. You like, oh, I was just turning, throwing up right now. Just no reason. You just no reason. Just turning. Because man, you just don't get it. You got to turn to the Heavenly Father and repent about what you got to realize that, brother. That was wicked. That was wicked what you said, bro. You did. You can't get past all of this, man. Anyway, with that being said, call William Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Kokodash. Shalom, man.